Welcome back to History on a Hog. I'm Captain Boss. I've been looking into the mysterious airplane disappearance of Le Sol Blanc, or the White Bird, and its two famous French pilots, Charles Nungesser and François Colli. It was the only European aircraft entry into the great aviation race of 1927. The winner would receive the Orteig Prize, which was a $25,000 cash prize awarded to the first aircraft to complete a non-stop flight from New York to Paris, or vice versa. Between September of 1926 and early May of 1927, 3 American aircraft teams had already entered the competition and had already failed in their attempts, some ending tragically. A 4th American team was close to making their attempt, the team of Charles Lindbergh and the Spirit of St. Louis. But by early May, the French team of Nungesser, Colli, and the White Bird was ready to go. They departed on May 8th with the intention of landing at the base of the Statue of Liberty sometime in the afternoon of May 9th. But they never made it. No trace of them was ever found, and they have been missing ever since. Although a massive sea search was launched by several nations, including the United States, nothing turned up. However, over the years, rumors and witnesses' accounts from people who may have heard something on that morning of May 9th continue to surface. The 2 geographic areas that are often identified are southern Newfoundland and in down east Maine, perhaps crashing into a lake there, Round Lake, just north of Machias. But in each case, the witnesses stated they had only heard an aircraft. It was too foggy in both areas for any witnesses to actually see something. In my opinion, I think they could have crashed in down east Maine, and I wanted to find out. So I decided to jump on my bike and ride up to down east Maine to investigate my theory. The ride up to northern Maine is a spectacular ride, one of the best rides I have ever done. Heading out of Portland, Maine, I primarily followed Maine State Route 1 northward, which essentially follows Maine's down east coastline. The ocean views and quaint Maine villages along the way are incredible, and I took my time riding up. About halfway up, I made a slight detour into Bar Harbor. It is the quintessential Maine harbor town. Although it is a tourist trap today, it was still a required stop, so go check it out. Leaving Bar Harbor, I get back onto Route 1, and I follow it northeast to Machias. I then ride through town and continue on Route 1 until I reach Pembroke. Where I turn north onto Route 214 towards Charlotte, and towards the location where many of those eyewitnesses reported the crash, in or around Round Lake. Although evidence suggests that the Newfoundland crash theory is probably the most accurate, the other theory that the white bird crashed somewhere near here, at Round Lake in down east Maine, is also a good possibility. At the time of the disappearance, this area had very few people living here. Not many people heard or saw much in 1927, but today, this area is very populated. I rode all the way up here so that I could hike up to the lake where the crash site might be, and to pay my respects to the missing airmen. But today, most of the lake edge is on private property. I just can't walk into someone's backyard to look at the lake. I had to find another way. I was able to find this dirt road that looks like it might lead up to the lake. But after checking out the conditions of the dirt road, I decided that it was too rough for my bike. So I'm definitely not going to ride up there. I'm going to walk. By walking up there instead, I hope I can find a trail or something that leads me up to the lake. And maybe if I'm lucky, I might even stumble onto some aircraft wreckage along the way. But I doubt it. So what is this Maine crash theory? How did it start? Well, it all began that May morning in 1927 when a local blueberry farmer named Harold Vining was outside chopping wood, and he heard something like engine noises up in the overcast sky. He couldn't see anything, but he had heard it as plain as day, and he wondered if it was one of those newfangled airplanes that he had heard about. Airplanes were still a rarity around here, and in fact, this one was the first one Vining had ever heard. He looked upward in the sky toward the direction of the engine noise, trying to see it, but the fog was too thick. But the noise eventually faded away. Several miles further away, a young couple also heard a plane that day. They were driving down the road, and they stopped their car to listen to the engine noise as it passed by. Nearby, another woman was standing in her kitchen when she heard the unfamiliar rumble of an airplane engine. A father and son heard it too. They were out fishing on a nearby pond. The boy thought it sounded like an old-fashioned washing machine floating through the sky. And there are several more eyewitness accounts that I haven't even listed. So as you can see, there were many eyewitness reports that something was making noise in the sky on that foggy morning. It just wasn't coming from one crackpot. So if you put all these reports together, there's a lot of credibility that something happened here on that morning. In the decades that followed, a legend had spread that a mysterious airplane crash site might be hiding deep in the woods. Dozens of hunters reported seeing a large engine buried in the thicket beneath some trees or covered in moss. But those are simply tall tales. The missing plane, the one that Vining heard 93 years ago, was never found and is probably still out there. When you return for part 6, I'll describe to you what I think happened to the white bird while I keep looking for bits of wreckage around the lake edge. And I'll detail some of the well-funded archaeological expeditions mounted in this area by some very famous explorers. See what they found out next time on History on a Hawk.